Why the Boston Red Sox season is about to change for the best on today's Locked On Red Sox.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby Maljanian, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I'm here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox Monday through Friday straight to your favorite podcast feed, and it's all completely free. So make sure you continue to tune in because Locked On is your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Happy Monday. Obviously, it's Monday, which doesn't usually make people happy, but the Red Sox are making it a really good Monday as they took the series over the weekend against the Yankees at Yankee Stadium, and it was absolutely glorious. Lots of offensive productivity from lots of different players, and pitching was definitely a little bit dicey overall, but ultimately they were able to get the job done with solid offense and solid defense as well. So I'm going to be talking a little bit more about the series on today's show, as well as talking about Hunter Dobbins, talking a little bit of smack about the Yankees and fueling the fire with the rivalry, and Carlos Narvaez continues to stay hot. So when the Red Sox were going into this series, they had just lost a series against the Angels. And obviously, that was not ideal. That was a series they very much should have won. The Angels are such a beatable team. And the Red Sox were able to win one game in that series. They salvaged the final game of the series thanks to a Cedar Rafaela walk-off home run that barely got over the wall. But we do take it absolutely. And the Red Sox really felt like they were losing so much confidence because you go through a series like that and you're like, well, how can we overcome this? So then they go into this series at Yankee Stadium against a Yankees team that has been playing very good baseball. They actually have been the best team in baseball over the last month or so. So to be able to go in there as very clear underdogs with a lot of ground to gain still in the division, especially because they sit in fourth place in the division right now, this was a solid series win overall. The Yankees took the first game by a score of 9-6, but then the Red Sox won Saturday's game 10-7 and Sunday's game 11-7. So Garrett Crochet ended up getting the win in Saturday's game, in which the Red Sox won 10-7. He went 6 innings, giving up 6 hits and 5 earned runs, but he had 9 strikeouts in the contest. So he still was generating a lot of that swing and miss stuff. He wasn't the sharpest, as he did give up quite a bit of base traffic, but because the Red Sox offense was able to take care of business on their end, he ended up being able to get the win. The Red Sox had 14 hits in that game, and they did make an error, but overall, much cleaner defense than what we have seen as of late. Then they went into Sunday's game, the series finale, the rubber match, made 0 errors in that game and recorded 12 hits and won the game 11-7. Now, Hunter Dobbins started that game going 5 innings pitched, giving up 4 hits and 3 earned runs, but he ended up getting the win. The first game of the series was a little bit scary, though, because Walker Buehler got absolutely rocked in that game. He made it through just 2 innings, giving up 7 hits and 5 earned runs with 2 walks and 2 strikeouts. He gave up 2 home runs, and he just got absolutely shelled, giving up 5 runs in the first inning. And what was tough about that was that's a huge hole to climb back from, because if you go down 5-0 early, can you come back? Sure, but then you're relying on your bullpen, because at this point after the second inning, the Red Sox were down 7-0. Walker Buehler was pulled, and then you're hoping the bullpen can hold it and not give up any more runs over the rest of the game, while meanwhile your offense also has to work. And the Red Sox offense definitely was working. They did score 6 runs in the game. They were able to close that gap a little bit in that contest against the Yankees, but overall the early struggles in that game were too much, and the Red Sox were unable to come back and win it. And the first inning struggles have been a serious problem with the starting rotation. Not only has it been Walker Buehler, but Lucas Giolito in his last outing had a really rough first inning in which he gave up 4 runs. Richard Fitz, shortly before that, gave up 6 runs in the first inning. Tanner Houck has had multiple first inning blowups. So what exactly is the problem with that? That tells me that there is something wrong with the pregame routine when it comes to these starters. Something that Andrew Bailey is preaching that is not working, because it's really a first inning thing, because a lot of these pitchers have been able to get themselves right after the first inning. And after they kind of settle in a little bit, they are like, all right, I'm settled in, I'm on the mound, got to keep my composure. And a lot of them have been able to do that. And they've been able to say, okay, I'm going to forget about this first inning and just focus on continuing the rest of the outing. Despite what the scoreboard says right now, I just need to give my team the best possible performance that I can moving forward. And I do appreciate that mindset that these guys have had. But Walker Buehler's mess in the first inning was only one example of the first inning struggles for the Red Sox. That's definitely something that I still feel concerned about, that I take away from this series. But Abraham Toro was a big takeaway because his bat continues to stay hot. I talked about him on the podcast recently, but he has made a huge difference in the Red Sox lineup. Now, in game 1, when the Red Sox lost 9-6, he went 2 for 3 in that game. Then in game 2, when the Red Sox won 10-7, he went 2 for 5 in that game. Then in the series finale, in which the Red Sox won 11-7, he went 3 for 5 in that game. His batting average is now up to a 341 with a 353 on base percentage and 573 slugging. He has no doubt been the Red Sox best hitter as of late. And when the Red Sox called him up from Worcester, I don't think anybody expected that. A lot of people were saying this is going to be so tough. We have to deal with Abraham Toro up in the majors. But I had said he was putting together some quality at-bats in Worcester before the Red Sox called him up, which was after Tristan Casas went down with that season-ending injury. So I said, hey, let's give Toro a chance. He's putting together quality at-bats. Let's see how he does. And sure enough, he has been the fuel for this Red Sox team. And what's been great about it is switching positions and going from first base to third base and then back to first and kind of alternating back and forth has not affected him in the slightest. He's still putting up the same level of competitive offensive numbers, regardless of which of those two positions that he plays. So I really am happy to see him continue to swing the bat hard. Trevor Story also is another guy who had a standout series in the 2 games that the Red Sox won in particular, because he did go 0 for 4 in the game in which the Red Sox lost. But in game 2, he went 3 for 5 in that game. And then in game 3 of the series, he went 2 for 4 in that game. Story is now up to a 226 average with a 274 on base percentage and 346 slugging. So he was another hitter who deserves recognition for the way that he contributed for this team over the weekend. And obviously the pitching overall was a little dicey, but Aroldis Chapman continues to shut it down and get it done. And that's something that also should not go unnoticed when talking about the Red Sox as a whole and how they won this series. But definitely still some concerns with the starting rotation not being able to provide a lot of length in general, and also the first inning struggles that just continue. And those were really brought to light in that first game of the series. But coming up, a big topic of discussion on Sunday was Hunter Dobbins. Why? I'm going to be discussing that next. So wonderful pistachios are incredibly delicious, but they're also addicting. They're a little healthy snack that tastes really good. And they taste like pistachio. They have that pistachio flavor in them. So if you really like pistachios, you will become addicted to these things. They're easy to have on the go or when you're just sitting at home, and you don't have to feel guilty because they are healthy. I know for me, I feel guilty if I have a late night snack and it's not healthy. So that won't be the case here because they really are good for you. Get snacking and get cracking with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. My mom buys them now, and she is obsessed. So I highly recommend you doing it as well. The Red Sox are coming off of a really good series win against the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. Obviously, the pitching is still a little bit dicey. For example, in the series finale on Sunday, the Red Sox recalled pitcher Robert Stock from AAA Worcester and sent Cooper Criswell back down to Worcester, who continues to struggle a little bit at the major league level. So they said, all right, let's call Stock up. Let's let him pitch in this game. So he threw in the Red Sox series finale on Sunday and did not have it. He threw 0.2 innings, giving up 1 hit and 2 earned runs with 3 walks and just 1 strikeout. He did give up a home run as well. He did not have the command, and Alex Cora was trying to stretch him out and let him close out the game and finish it up because he came in the 9th inning when the Red Sox had a 6-run lead at the time for him to work with, and they ended up only winning by 4 because he gave up a couple runs. And Cora was being so patient, but then after he issued his 3rd walk, Cora said, all right, I'm pulling him. So that experiment at this point is likely over. He's likely not going to be a guy that we see in this Red Sox bullpen any much longer, especially not in the long term. But one pitcher who likely will be with this Red Sox staff longer term is Hunter Dobbins, who recorded the win in Sunday's series finale on Sunday Night Baseball. He threw 5 innings, giving up 4 hits and 3 earned runs with no walks and no strikeouts. He did give up 2 homers, and he threw 44 strikes on 64 total pitches. Definitely a solid outing from him. He gave up a 2-run homer to Aaron Judge in the 1st inning. Obviously, not much you can do about that. Aaron Judge is one of the best hitters in the sport, and that's just a player that is going to beat you a lot of times regardless of who the pitcher is. But he didn't let that discourage him as he continued to keep his composure, and he was able to just throw his game and control the pace of play, control what pitches were being thrown, and utilize his arsenal and utilize his best pitches, which is exactly what he did. He truly, for most of the outing, felt like the Hunter Dobbins that we know, and the one who is able to keep his composure. And especially because it was a big stage. You never really know how a rookie is going to perform on a stage that's that big. He threw on Sunday Night Baseball earlier on in the season, but the game was against the Cardinals, not against the Yankees. So even though it was Sunday Night Baseball, and that's a nationally televised thing, and everybody can see it, it still wasn't as big of a stage because they weren't playing their rival. When the Red Sox play the Yankees on Sunday Night Baseball, there is a lot of attentiveness that goes into that, and a lot of people that are locked in on that game. And I loved the fact that Dobbins didn't shy away from playing his game, and he was able to go out there and keep his composure and say, you know what, I need to go do what I have to do to help the team win. And the Red Sox offense did not really have many answers for him. And that's what I really like about Dobbins is you can throw a curveball at him, no pun intended, and you can have him overcome all of these obstacles and throw more pressure on him, but he will get through it, and he has surpassed all of these challenges so far this season that the Red Sox have given him, and he had an extra fuel for sure to perform last night because he actually kind of talked some smack about the Yankees prior to the game, which obviously we don't hate that. As a Red Sox fan, it was nice to see. Basically, he said he'd rather retire than play for the Yankees. He said if the Yankees were the last team to give me a contract, I'd retire. This is one that I've had circled for a long time, as in that game, because he was really excited to be part of the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry and pitch to the Yankees hitters and beat them, ideally. He's among several Red Sox rookies who arrived in the Bronx eager to make their mark on what so many people consider the greatest rivalry in sports. For example, Marcelo Mayer was getting booed by Yankees fans as he hit his first career home run on Friday night. And he said it was music to his ears. So he actually really liked it because he's like, that's part of the rivalry and it really adds to the intensity of what those games are about. For Dobbins, the rivalry has been part of his life for as long as he could remember. He said, my dad was a diehard Red Sox fan, and I've said it before that if the Yankees were the last team to give me a contract, I'd retire. He actually grew up playing second base and said the favorite Red Sox player of his from when he was growing up was Dustin Pedroia. He wasn't exactly a diehard Red Sox fan like his father was, much like a fan who doesn't buy a player's jersey until their retirement in case of a trade or they end up with a rival in some capacity. He took a more diplomatic and strategic approach to baseball, with the exception of just the Yankees. He said, I grew up watching the Red Sox a lot, but I knew I wanted to do this as a career. I didn't get attached to a team, but I grew up watching the Red Sox, and just, I think out of disdain for the Yankees, I watched anybody but them. So he watched a lot of different Major League Baseball games regardless, not just the Red Sox, even though his dad was a diehard Red Sox fan and that was the team that his dad focused on. He liked watching other teams. He just did not have any interest at all in watching the Yankees, which is what we love. So he definitely talked his smack, and Jazz Chisum had something to say about it because he kind of clapped back at that comment on social media. He posted on his Instagram story saying free smoke tonight at 7. Basically saying, Hunter Dobbins is talking all of this smack, but he's going to get smoked by us. His team is going to get smoked by us. And sure enough, he did not get smoked by the Yankees. Yes, he definitely took a little bit to settle in. And when you face Aaron Judge, if he beats you, it is what it is. He's just a phenomenal hitter. But overall, Hunter Dobbins had a good outing, whereas Jazz Chisum went 0 for 3 for the Yankees. And that is the difference is you can talk smack all you want, but you have to be able to go and back that up. And Dobbins did, and Chisum didn't, and that made it look even funnier. And what I really liked about that and how they were kind of going at it a little bit is because it kind of restores the rivalry. Because obviously in like the 90s and early 2000s, the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry was everything. It was so incredibly strong, and there was no doubt about the fact that there was just no greater rivalry in sports than Red Sox-Yankees. And then things started to take a turn because the players are all nice to each other and respect each other, and I think the fans still hate the other team nearly the same as they always have. It's just more, it feels like the rivalry is a little bit calmer because of the fact that the players get along better, or so it seems, and the fact that both teams have not been good at the same time in a while. So that's definitely a factor in it too, is because the Red Sox as of right now have been struggling this year and haven't been able to be close to the Yankees in the standings. It definitely brings to light the fact that the Yankees don't really see the Red Sox as an immediate threat right now. They always talk about how those division matchups are always challenging, which is 100% true. You could be the best team in baseball, but you could play the worst team in your division and lose a series because those interdivisional matchups are always just different. And the Red Sox not really being at the same level as the Yankees right now definitely does not help to make the rivalry stronger. But when you have a player on each team that's going at it, that certainly helps with that, because Dobbins has always hated the Yankees. Jazz Chisum is known to be a big talker on social media about himself and his team, and he was not afraid to say something to Dobbins on social media, and Dobbins was just like, I'm just going to let the results speak for themselves. So he went out there and he threw a really, really nice 5 innings for the Red Sox in that game, and that just went to show, hey, I can talk smack because I can take it and I can dish it. And it was just really funny to see some of those quotes and say, wow, he actually feels the exact same way as I do about the Yankees. And it really, truly feels like it humanizes the players a little bit more in the rivalry, because a guy like Hunter Dobbins is like, hey, I've never liked the Yankees. Now I have this extra motivation to pitch well against them. So I'm glad he pitched really well there at Yankee Stadium. Hopefully he gets another shot against them next week when the Yankees come to Fenway for a 3-game series there. But coming up, I'm going to be talking about Carlos Narvaez, who just continues to stay hot for this Boston Red Sox team. If you're looking to score last-minute tickets to any sort of event, check out GameTime. I use it all the time now. It's literally the only ticketing vendor that I personally use because tickets are cheaper. First of all, I always see the prices lower on GameTime than I do any other ticketing platform. It shows you a view from your seat so that you know you're not blocked by anything. For example, those big poles at Fenway Park that could obstruct your view. On GameTime, you can avoid that because you can see what your view would look like. So there's lots of benefits to GameTime, and it really helps you to get the best deals on tickets, especially if it's a last-minute thing. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the GameTime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. GameTime really will guarantee you the lowest prices on any tickets that you want, especially if you have a family with a lot of people that want to go to a game. It can really add up. So GameTime will save you some money on that as well. So make sure you head to it today for the next time you're going to a live sporting event, which might be when the Red Sox play the Yankees at home next weekend. Who knows? Carlos Narvaez certainly would enjoy that because he has been smoking hot at the plate for the Boston Red Sox. He has been a player who truly has the consistency of the best players in the sport right now. And it's just funny because Carlos Narvaez was somebody that the Red Sox brought in a trade over the offseason, and nobody ever expected him to be as good as he was. And sure enough, they get this guy, and we knew that he was a strong defender. I talked about it on the podcast early on in the season, how he was kind of known for his defense, and they wanted to couple a strong defensive catcher with Connor Wong because Connor Wong's aspects of his game that are stronger didn't necessarily include his defense. That was an area of weakness for him. So the Red Sox were hoping to complement that with a strong defensive catcher, which is certainly what they get in Narvaez. Good movement behind the plate, good framing, and a really good arm to throw out potential base stealers. But on top of that, he also is producing at the plate. In the first game of this series in which the Red Sox lost 9-6, he took 2 at-bats, and he did go 0 for 2 in that one. When the Red Sox won 10-7 in game 2, he went 0 for 4 in that, but he did score 2 runs in the game. So he is still continuing to contribute, even if he's not getting a hit. Then in game 3, when the Red Sox won 11-7, he was catching again, and he went 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs in that game. His average is now up to a 282 with a 361 on base percentage and 459 slugging. Notice how he caught all 3 of those games. All 3. And they have another catcher in Connor Wong. So this speaks volumes to the fact that they trust Narvaez a lot more. They see him as the guy who is going to be their starting catcher moving forward. And I did wonder how the Red Sox were exactly going to handle this catching situation because they had to give up their top catching prospect in Kyle Teel when they acquired Garrett Crochet from the White Sox. So because they had gotten rid of Teel, I was like, wow, they don't have a lot of catching depth in the system. What exactly are they going to do? And then sure enough, they get Narvaez, and he has been stepping up to a level that nobody ever thought that he would. And the biggest thing I like about him is that he does have good plate discipline. He does not swing and miss at as many pitches as some other hitters do. His walk percentage is in the 72nd percentile right now, which is good, definitely well above average. So he definitely has his fair share of patience at the plate, which is good. His chase percentage is in the 43rd percentile, meaning he's about in the middle when it comes to how often he chases pitches outside the zone relative to other hitters. So I know that's a tough metric to measure because it's like, well, relative to other hitters, how do we know how often he's chasing pitches? It is a little bit less than half of the time in which he's trying to reach for those pitches outside the zone. So he definitely overall has good composure and a good plate approach. And the awesome thing that I really like about Narvaez is whether he's crushing a baseball or he's making a difference behind the plate. He's always making a difference in some capacity. And I said a very similar thing about Jarren Duran last year. I said Jarren Duran is the guy who's all over the stat sheet for this Red Sox team. You want him there because he's a guy who's so versatile and he makes a difference to this team in so many different ways, whether that's defense, speed, or offense. I can say the same thing about Narvaez when it comes to both his offense and his defense. He does a lot of the little things well, and he's able to crush home runs, but he's also able to sprinkle some singles and doubles in there. Most of his singles have gone either as infield hits or they've gone to shallow right field or shallow left field. Not a lot of singles that traveled super far. He did have one that was off the left field wall, but that was about it in terms of distance on the singles. The doubles, when he hits those kind of sprinkle a little bit more out. He does have more doubles that are hit all the way to the back of the park, which logically does make sense, because if it's hit all the way back there, as long as you have some speed, then you can get around the bases and turn a single into a double, which Jarren Duran is notorious for. If he makes contact and that ball goes into the outfield, you can bet that the majority of the time he's going to be on second base, whereas you can't really say that for every hitter. But when it comes to Narvaez, he is a guy who is really self-aware on the base paths. So he knows if he's not going to be able to make it to second, which is another thing I really like about him. So obviously it's tough for Connor Wong because you see this guy in Carlos Narvaez who is really showing that he can be reliable consistently, because the word consistent is something I continue to use with this Red Sox team because it's something that they have failed to find over the course of really the entirety of the season. They'll string together a few wins, and then if they do that, then they'll just drop some games and they'll lose 4 or 5 in a row. So this team has been unable to go on a big winning streak at any point throughout the course of this season, and that's been a big problem for them, is they'll get momentum and they can't maintain it like we have seen so many times over the course of this year. And that's why I keep asking for the Red Sox to just find some sense of consistency. For example, winning a series in the Bronx at Yankee Stadium, you have to carry that positive energy over into your next series. And that's something that the Red Sox have been unable to do overall throughout the course of this season. But Carlos Narvaez is somebody who has continued to stay hot at the plate and has consistently been one of the most reliable hitters in the lineup. And it is tough for Connor Wong. I mean, it's becoming more and more obvious that Carlos Narvaez is the number one catcher for this team. And obviously going into the season, the Red Sox didn't make any specific promises about Connor Wong, or come out and said, oh, he's definitely our starting catcher. There wasn't really anything like that. They definitely had talked about how, they have faith in Connor, but there was never an underlying foregone conclusion of Connor Wong's definitely our starting catcher. Now, because of the fact that Narvaez has been very hot at the plate and he's been doing a lot more than Connor Wong has, the Red Sox have really been leaning more towards playing Narvaez more. For example, playing in the entirety of that series against the Yankees. I think you're going to continue to see more of that. You're going to see less of Connor Wong in the lineup and more of Carlos Narvaez in the lineup. And Connor Wong is obviously probably in his head about it, but if you're not performing at the same level as your counterpart who plays the same position as you, then you shouldn't get that same level of playing time that other catcher is getting. And obviously Connor Wong dealt with an injury earlier on in the season, so he hasn't had the easiest road this year. And I think the Red Sox probably said, okay, let's give Connor a shot when he comes back from his injury to be able to contribute in the way that we need him to. And then he just has not been able to do that. So because of that, the Red Sox have said, all right, we have to take the guy who is producing and we have to just have him play a lot more. And that's what we've been seeing is Alex Cora is rolling lineups out there that include Carlos Narvaez a lot more than lineups that include Connor Wong now. And to me, that's a great move. And to me, Carlos Narvaez, who is a rookie, could be somebody who the Red Sox see as part of that mold. Because right now, if they're trying to build for the future and they want this glue of solid young pieces that they know are going to contribute to that core, you could put Carlos Narvaez in there because you have Marcelo Mayer, you have Roman Anthony eventually when he gets called up, you have Christian Campbell, you have Jarren Duran if they don't trade him. You have Cedar Rafaela, who they've extended, who they obviously see being part of the future. You have Rafael Devers, the man who got his massive extension. And then from a pitching standpoint, you do have some pitchers like Hunter Dobbins, who I talked about, or Richard Fitz, who have shown potential at the major league level, but they are younger, and it's kind of time for the Red Sox to figure out what their potential actually is within Major League Baseball fully, because it's still been a relatively small sample size with both. But those are exciting guys to think about. And if you're thinking about the glue, the guys who are going to help you build a championship team, Narvaez, to me, should no doubt be part of that. That feels like a no-brainer. He worked super hard. He goes out there, and even if he goes 0 for 3 on the day, he's still making a huge difference defensively, because usually he's throwing a guy out who's trying to steal second to cut down the base runner and a runner in scoring position for Boston. So that's the biggest thing, is you have to be versatile and you have to be able to contribute to the game in a lot of different ways. And I really like the fact that Narvaez is versatile, and he has been able to do that. So I've really enjoyed watching him catch so far this season, and I'm really hoping that he continues to stay as one of the best hitters on the team, because he totally helps that Red Sox lineup a lot. So we'll have to see how that all unfolds, but I do appreciate you tuning into Locked On Red Sox and making it your first listen today. Next, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. It's a great show because it will keep you up to date on all the games that took place from that day, so you don't have to go back in and try to catch up and see what the scores were and see what happened, what the biggest moments were in each game. You can get it from our own Game Night show. So make sure you subscribe to that show on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, and tune into it next. Like I always say, keep the faith, go Red Sox, and I will catch you on the flip side.